All right. Our video today is going to be on water cooling. I'm going to show you the basic components of water cooling, how it works, and the benefits of it. I have some examples. I have a completely water cooled computer, gaming computer, Intel Core i7 6000K. Sorry about this. It's the audio in my head. The microphone I can hear and it has a delay, so it's messing with my voice. I'll get that fixed though. But so we're gonna be having EK water blocks, showing me what to do. Obviously I'm calling this the complete water cooled gaming rig right here. It's got a Intel i7 6000K quad core processor. It's got an ASUS Z170A ATX motherboard. It's got 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance LPX. It's got a Samsung 850 EVO series 250 gigabyte SSD. It has a EVGA GeForce GTX 1070 8 gigabyte superclocked gaming card that comes with an ACX 3.0 cooler. We're gonna be replacing not only the graphics card cooler, but we're gonna be using a water block on the CPU. Those are two main components for a what would be a complete water cooling setup. Now you can water cool a motherboard, but it's very limited. People have water cooled power supplies, but it's very, very rare, and I don't think that they really make. There's not a company that makes them. So you'd have to do it yourself, and I just don't recommend doing it if you're not an experienced person. Now, completely water cooling your system is extremely expensive. This one we have here is about $500. Yeah, it's $500. $525 is the entire price for this. Now, that does include the coolant as well as LED fans, the reservoir with pumps. Now, I'm going to teach you all there is to know about that. Why water cooling? This is on the EK Waterblocks website. Water cooling is commonly called water cooling and is the best solution for rapid heat removal due to its unmatched thermal performance. It is the only solution that allows successful heat removal from critical spots in the modern day computer with zero noise pollution. That is incorrect. You're still going to need fans to push air through the radiator, which, silent operation. As you can see here, there's still a fan here. But right up here, I think here is where the reservoir is. It's either up here or here. I've never seen a case like that in my entire life, but okay. But this is mainly what it would look like right here. You have the reservoir here. You have your fittings, compression fittings, and piping here. What is going on here is they have two GPUs that are being water cooled. They're using a special block connector to do that. They had the blue that you were seeing is the coolant inside. Right here is the CPU water block, and those can be anywhere from like 50 to and up. Now you can buy, if you don't want to have the risk of water cooling it yourself and having it leak, if you're not confident in that, you can buy an AIO, which comes pre-built, and all you have to do is install the radiator into your case fan or into your case, just as if you were to have two fans, one fan, and then the piping and the water and the CPU block are already on there. I don't think you'd have to buy a specific graphics card that comes with an AIO built in. Or I don't know any companies that sell AIOs for GPUs. But yeah. So if we look, we're gonna go into where is it? Let's see here. Custom loops. That is what is commonly referred to as complete water cooling is a custom loop, or a custom loop can also be applied to any water cooling that you build yourself. You put the fittings together, you put the piping together, you fill it with coolant yourself, and you turn it on yourself. Now, what do you need? Obviously, you're going to need a water block for the CPU. You're also going to need a reservoir, and a reservoir is what holds all your coolant inside. You're going to need a pump. A pump is what pushes the water throughout your system. The radiator is what cools down the fluid. What happens is, as it gets heated up in the CPU block, it travels to the radiator, where in here it'll cool down and be put back into the reservoir. Your fittings are what connect your pipes to your pumps, your CPU blocks, your radiators, your reservoirs. Your tubing is what the coolant travels through to get from your reservoir to your pump, to your water block, to your radiator, and back into the reservoir. Now, obviously in this diagram here, they do not show a graphics card, but it would go around here or here, depending on where you have it in your loop. And you're just like a regular air-cooled system, you're still going to need thermal compound to make connections for your water block and your CPU. But yeah, I think in this 20K build that I have more water cooling. Yep, I do. This is about a $1,215 water cooling setup, because I am cooling 2 cards, not just one. And I have the motherboard also being water cooled as well. Now, there are different water blocks for different types of CPUs, different types of sockets. So just make sure when you're buying one that you have the right socket. So some water blocks support multiple different God, I'm drawing a blank here. Multiple different sockets. Yes, that's the word. Multiple different sockets. So that's a good feature to keep in mind if you want to upgrade in the future. So say you have a 2011-3 socket, but you'd like to upgrade to a 1151 socket. Make sure, I'd recommend buying a water block that supports both of those, just so then you can upgrade in the future and you don't have to buy a brand new water block. Saves money, definitely saves money, because if you look right here, this water block is $126. Now, the only reason why it doesn't show a picture here is because I put these in as a custom part, and I highly recommend using PC Part Picker if you're going to build a computer. It prices out the wattage, it finds the best prices for it, and everything. It's really, really nice, and it has compatibility stuff. So if something's still not going to work with each other, it'll tell you, which is really nice. Down here, I have the reservoir. The reservoir with a built-in pump is $153. I have a triple rad, or radiator. Rad is a slang kind of term for radiator. That's $100. Doesn't come with fans, I don't think. I don't think it does, so you'd have to buy 3 fans yourself. Those are around you can get those for like $10 to $40, depending on what fans and what features it has. If it has RGB lighting, LEDs, who it's from, stuff like that. There's $350 for all the tubes, fittings, angles, LEDs, coolant, thermal stuff. Also included in this is the GPU connecting block, so I don't have just wires going to everything, because I have 2 GTX 1080 water blocks, and that's $227. But so that's definitely a lot of money. But there's a lot of stuff that you can buy. There's a lot of stuff you. Oh, if you're wondering, in the beginning of the video, I talked about AIOs. That stands for all-in-one. So basically, like the Corsair H100i would count as a AIO. The H60 would count as an AIO. Stuff like that. I'm going to show you some. Here's the EK Waterblock Supremacy Evo. You can if you look, there's multiple different models. Copper is probably one of the best ones because it'll transfer heat the most. But if you're looking for aesthetics, you don't have to have copper. You can have nickel. Just make a good tip to keep in mind is don't mix your metals. It's not really a big problem like it used to be, but it's still not a good idea to mix metals. Let's keep that in mind. But this is what a water block looks like. You have a pipe going in. You have two out. You have an input and an output. And inside, you don't really need to worry about that. But it'll come with everything you need. It'll come with bracket. That's a backplate bracket. It goes behind the motherboard. That is what the CPU will lay on. That's the backside. That's what's under this. But they make them clear. If you're going for aesthetics, I personally recommend those. Now let's go into GPU blocks. GPU nickel. They have copper. Let's look at the EKFC Titan X Pascal nickel. This is a full-length water cooling unit for the GTX Titan X Pascal, or XP, as some people call it. Here's what it would look like with coolant inside of it. So as you can see before, it's clear here. You'd have the piping up top here, input and output again. And inside here is where all the water goes in and cools everything. You'd screw it in using the same screws that, I think it comes with screws. I hope so. But you'd use all that and then stuff like that. It's not as hard as some people put it out to be. But don't get me wrong, there's definitely still risk involved. But here's what a reservoirs look like. Personally, if you're going for aesthetics, I'd go with a cylindrical. Preferably this one. This one has a built-in pump, so it'll have an input and an output, and a built-in pump that connects through a Molex connector, as you can see there. The pump connects to the pump connector on the motherboard. Most motherboards have one. Now let's go into radiators. This is a quad radiator, a dual radiator. I'd choose the one that fits best in whatever your case supports. So look up your case online, figure out what kind of water cooling it supports, what kind of radiator it supports, stuff like that. Let's look at this triple radiator. This one, it has an input and output again, screws for mounting fans, stuff like that. They've shown 3 different sizes, the different screws, the box it comes in. I don't know why they didn't show that, but this is what it would look like with a fan on it. This shows the different sizes that they make for different size fans. Fittings, there's a Threads G1, G1/4. That's a common type here. Compression fittings are fantastic fittings. I highly recommend them if you're going to do water cooling. They make all different colors, sizes, so just find ones that will fit your size piping, and keep them consistent with the size of piping, or else it won't work. For tubing, there's 2 different kinds. You can have hard tubing or soft tubing. I'll just pull up a quick thing. pull up some images. Now, and this one shows a soft piping. I think that's what a hard piping looks like. It's a lot more straight edge, straight lines, nice angles, stuff like that. There's again for another hard piping. A soft piping will have something looking like that. This guy has his radiator outside of his fan. I've seen people put their radiators underground, but I don't recommend that if you're a beginner. Yeah. I've seen people such as Linus Tech Tips do a thing where he had his how he tried to do whole room water cooling and it epically failed. Yeah, so that's not that good. A great guy to look at for other water cooling tips would be Jay's 2 Cents. I've watched him over the years looking at how he does water cooling, and that's how I learned how to do a lot of my water cooling. Yeah. If you have comments, put them in the send me a message in the or put a comment below. If you have any questions, like it, subscribe, give me comments on what I should do in the future, how I can improve my content.